Hello and welcome to Building the Premier Accounting Firm. I'm your host, Roger Knecht, president of Universal Accounting Center. And for more than 20 years, I've been working with accounting professionals to start, build, and successfully operate an accounting business offering quality accounting services and getting paid what they're worth. Here on the show, we actually have experts, guests on to actually share their insights as to what it is we can be doing to work on our business and in fact, offer those quality accounting services. And each and every week, we cover a variety of topics ranging from marketing, selling, pricing, tech stacks, training our staff, mental health, and a variety of other things. And today's going to be a wonderful conversation. I'm excited to have on the show Rusty Fulling. He happens to be the founder and CEO of Fulling Management and Accounting. It's actually based in Kansas, where he's located. With over 3 decades of expertise, Rusty has actually helped business leaders get clarity, grow profit, and gain peace of mind. Rusty seamlessly integrates mentorship, storytelling, and humor into his leadership philosophy. Beyond the professional realm, he's actually a dedicated family man celebrating over 32 years of marriage with his wife, Pam, and loves hanging out with their 2 daughters, son-in-law, and granddaughters. And Rusty, I can relate. So welcome to the show.
Hey, Roger, thanks, man. That is the longest intro I've ever had. So thank you very much for that.
Well, it's your life. You're living it. So congratulations.
Hey, great. No, great job there. I do need to update that. I think you said 32 years. We're coming up on 34. So I've got to get you some better information when we meet next time.
But well, congratulations on the 2 additional years.
Yeah, she needs all the credit that she can get there. So
that is wonderful. And you've got granddaughters. I've got 3. I've got 1 more on the way. Okay. So how old are your granddaughters?
Yeah, so 3 and 5. So we're right in the middle of the fun. So yeah, and congratulations on. I read that as well, that you got another one on the way. So that's exciting. So.
Yeah, life's good. Things are great. So
yes.
As we jump into this, let me start first of all with a little bit of background. Share with my listeners exactly a little bit of who you are.
Yeah. So Rusty Fulling, I had launched this little company, Fulling Management and Accounting, April Fool's Day of 2000. So I don't know if that was why. I don't know if that was a April Fool's joke that's still going or not. But boy, I tell you, it's been just really neat to see, how things have evolved over the years. We do fractional CFO work and accounting work, and we'll do some bookkeeping for some of our clients. But it's really that fractional CFO piece that, 25 plus years ago, people are going, I'm not too sure about this outsourcing thing. And anymore, it's almost a natural, you're not outsourcing. And so it's just been neat to see just the environment evolve. And there's so much more acceptance and value, I think, from a lot of the outsourcing services.
Exactly. Now, for my listeners, I'm very excited to, first of all, define outsourced CFO services. I think it's a little bit more clear in our minds what we're doing as we work with our clients when we're offering bookkeeping, accounting, tax services. But how do you define CFO and advisory services?
Yeah. We really broke it down in just kind of 3 basic phases. We help you get clarity, we help you grow your profits, and we help you gain peace of mind. And
I like that.
Yeah. And so somebody said, oh, really, can you really gain peace of mind with accounting and your numbers? And Roger, one of the probably best testimonials that a client gave us years ago is, you help me sleep at night.
Oh, yeah.
And I joke a lot of times, if we can put our clients to sleep, hey, we're doing a good job. So, but it's just, if they're not waking up in the middle of the night worried about the numbers and something, boy, that's one check mark, off the list there.
One of the things that I find when discussing CFO services is sometimes we move beyond the accounting and we get into other business related things. We help them become better leaders, as you're describing. And there's a lot of things that we at least as accounting professionals, can really bring perspective to the business that they wouldn't otherwise get. So I'm kind of curious, when you're working with your clients, what are some of the things that you do to help them become more intentional business leaders?
Yeah. Well, and something that goes back to, we have to be more intentional business leaders. It's not just a magic, you turn it on one day. I had a new accounting firm owner that I met with the other day, and he goes, I want to be just like you when I grow up. What's the magic? And, I'm going, well, here's the steps, when he goes, okay, what else? Okay. Now I said, now multiply that by 25 years. and so, part of that is experience, is there some certain experiences, but part of that is ongoing education. And so we spend probably 20 to 30 minutes every week doing some type of leadership role, some type of leadership training in our staff meetings for our entire staff. Because when they're meeting with clients, we want them to come educated and not just, I think you should do this.
Well, one of the things I like about what you're emphasizing here is it's very difficult to go to your clients and have them do something that you yourself are not doing. You need to implement these same principles in your own business and be the leader in your own company. And for a lot of accounting professionals, I think that's one of the things that they miss. These things aren't just all forward facing out to your clients. These are things you have to embrace and internalize. So when you're working with your clients, I mean, you're obviously dealing with things that you're also implementing in your own business.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have things maybe like a mission statement, a vision statement, value statements. Are those things integral to this whole discussion?
Oh my goodness, those are so pivotal. And we talk about one of the first lessons, if a lot of times people ask, hey, what are lessons you've learned? One of those is just be intentional.
Yeah.
And we forget that a lot of times is I just want to start working. And we forget about, okay, what are you working towards? And what are you all about? And it probably took us, Roger, really 10 years to really define some of those. But once we had our mission and our values, I would say those are so pivotal to then sharing our vision. And so now our team can go back and make decisions without having to go to the CEO, because they can lean on, hey, what are our core values? And, based on these, how do we make this decision?
Yeah. Now, one of the things that we offer that's very similar to this is when we're working with our clients, one of the 5 things, it's the first thing that we do with them, is we address what's called engage and manifest. And it's where we touch on these various principles that you're talking about that are all leadership qualities. It's that vision, it's the clarity. As they are able to explain to us what it is they're trying to do as a company, it helps us better service them, only in the sense that we understand what they're trying to accomplish. So I like how you're starting there and you're spending time in that clarity part of the missions, the values, the purpose, and so forth. Yeah. So here's something that I think is interesting as part of this conversation is we all have the best of intentions. We all have a lot of things that we're trying to accomplish, but oftentimes we have to be patient because it clearly takes longer. It always takes longer than we expect. Yeah. What can you speak to the patience that we have to have as leaders as we're trying to accomplish our goals?
Yes. Yeah, I think sometimes we look at our start compared to somebody else's middle. And it's like, oh, I want to be there. And sometimes it is just that putting in the reps. And sometimes the experience, and I'll say applied experience, is that can be so valuable for your team members and those you're serving in the community. And so, don't negate getting that experience along the way, and be patient. You're going to make mistakes. We made plenty. And learning from those. Practice patience. That's huge. I'd say that would be the second big lesson we've learned, that be intentional and be patient.
Wow. Now, just to give this a little bit more context, obviously what we're talking about is you're an accounting firm, you're offering some bookkeeping, but you're in that CFO advisory space. Yeah. I am curious for my listeners as to what it was that gave you the confidence to move more into that advisory role. Obviously, you're going out there and not just offering the service, but you're providing it. And there's, for many, an imposter syndrome that comes into place where they're just wondering, what permission do I have as an accounting professional to come in and work with a business leader as they're running their business with these types of discussions?
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I think it's and it's not for everyone. So just because you may have CPA after your name or EA or whatever, that doesn't necessarily make you great at CFO. And I was with a group of CPAs the other day, and the founder of this firm was asking, hey, we'd like to do the fractional CFO. Who'd like to do that? And all the heads went down, and they're like, no, I hope he doesn't pick me. Because they do a really good job on the tax advisory, but they did not want to get into the strategy and the operational management, that often comes. And sometimes it's very relational and working through some of those things that may not necessarily be accounting driven, but more business operations. And so I think part of that, honestly, is, Roger, where your gifting, where your mission, your vision is. Don't just put it in just because it sounds like a good revenue driver.
Yeah, one of the things that I've experienced having done this and offering these services is, first of all, it's a relationship-based service. It's definitely something where you get to know these clients at a much deeper level. And that's where that phrase of being a trusted strategic advisor really comes into play, because you're providing a safe zone for them to brainstorm, to share some of their struggles and challenges, many of which they're not sharing with anyone else. And so there's that very safe space that's very important. But in addition to all of this, you're right. It's beyond the accounting. What we're trying to do in that CFO space is really help them build businesses at that EBITDA level, at that exit level. What are we going to do to help them get the most value out of that company? And those are some of the conversations that just aren't happening at that tax or bookkeeping accounting level.
Get your free copy of the book In the Black, 9 Principles to Make Your Business Profitable. This is a how-to guide for accounting professionals to work with their clients and actually implement proven processes and systems to ensure that their clients make profit a priority. It is in this book you'll actually learn how to map the business and, in fact, make marketing, accounting, and production a priority within your client's business. You also learn the wisdom pyramid, how to actually take the information you're providing to your clients and effectively use it so that they can make more informed business decisions. This book is designed to help you communicate more effectively with your clients and, in fact, have them see you as their profit and growth expert. Get your free copy now of the ebook today.
So the next question I want to have is, as you're having these business relationships and you're getting paid for your services, what are some of the things that you've seen that you've discussed that are beyond the numbers themselves?
Yeah, well, for us, one of our core values is eternal impact. How can we make an eternal impact on somebody? Like, how do you do that with numbers? But I think of a story of a young business owner who was working all day doing his trade and then doing his books at night. And he was leaving the house early in the morning. The kids, he didn't see the kids. They were back in bed by the time he got home, and his wife was frustrated. And just coming along somebody like that, helping take some of the burden off of their plate by doing the books and giving some guidance. And well, Roger, my goodness, that's probably been 15 years now. And the kids are now grown and out of the house. And I remember him telling me, he goes, "You guys gave me my life back." He said, "I got to see my kids grow up and my wife is happy." That's huge. And so those are some of the things you want to hear, when you're in these kind of roles.
Well, first of all, that's a wow moment. I mean, that's obviously the telltale of whether or not you've really made a difference or an impact, because it's at that personal, not just that professional level. So I like that a lot. The other thing that I want to kind of dive into here then is, when you're working with your clients, this is perhaps a little bit more technical, but clearly I think it's very important to understand, is I think bookkeeping, accounting, tax, it's very understandable what that service looks like and how to price and deliver that. Let's talk about your business model as it relates to you offering these CFO services. What does the engagement look like? Are you meeting with them weekly? Are you meeting with them monthly? How long is that meeting?
Yeah, excellent. Yes and yes. What we found is sometimes you literally are meeting with them weekly when there's a crisis going on and they need that support and guidance and somebody, a listening ear. Sometimes it's daily. But as you're working out of those crises and really developing a good plan, most of the time we're monthly meetings as a CFO, and we have a really nice outline as far as, hey, these are the 4 or 5 things that we're doing in every meeting. And some of them start out with, "Hey, Roger, what's been a win for you since we last met?" Well, I did this, and this. And so that's part of that relational piece. And then some of it's accountability. Hey, you said you're going to do this. I said I was going to do this. And so making sure that's in. And then, hey, what's the hot topic for today? And it may not be accounting related. It's like, hey, here's what's keeping me up at night. Well, let's hit that. How can we be of value there? Let's go over the numbers and KPIs and some of those. And then let's set some action items going forward. So that would be kind of a quick, here's the steps that we would typically go through.
I love your summary of what that meeting consists of, because I agree with you. It's a similar format to my own. When we begin, there's the pleasantries, of course, but more importantly, it's a restatement of, let's recap what it was you were supposed to do from the previous meeting. give me an update as what's happened. Are those things done? And it's essentially a return and report moment.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I think is very important. Now, the next thing is you talk about KPIs, you talk about what's going on now, hot topics, but at the same time, some of those conversations will turn outside of business because understandably, if you have that trusted relationship, they're willing to say, of all the things that are going on in my life, I can't focus on my business. There's something else that's demanding my time and attention. And until I can get this taken care of, I can't work as I would like in the business. And so all of a sudden you start having conversations about health, about family, about relationships. And it's these things that all of a sudden are deterring that person from growing their business as they'd like. And you're that advisor that's maybe able to step into that role. And then from there, you're obviously coming up with, okay, what are those action items that we're going to leave here with today? So I love that summary of the meeting. Very well recapped. Now, I am curious, you're involved with these individuals. You're spending the time with them as needed, mostly monthly, sometimes weekly and daily. What is that financial obligation as you package out your services? What's that average CFO experience costing these individuals that you're working with?
Yeah, that's a great experience or a great question. So one of the things, I came from a traditional CPA firm where we charge by the hour.
Yep.
And it was always, please don't work more hours. Don't work more hours. And understandable. I'm a business owner too. Somebody's charging by the hour is like, keep it as minimal as you can. And sometimes, you find where it's like, if I could just be able to do this other thing, it would make a huge difference. But don't do more hours. So we actually started out. When we launched, we charged a small monthly retainer, but a percentage of the client's revenue. And the idea there is if we can help grow their revenue, we get a little piece of that. And that has just been amazing. We had a couple clients early on in this model where, hey, their business is starting to grow and they've said, we want to renegotiate. And you're going, oh, great. Now that they're growing, they want to, do something lower. And they said, no, you don't understand. You guys provided more value than we thought. We want to bump that percentage up. Now, Roger, I never had anyone at the firm go, could you charge me an extra $100 an hour? But it just developed more of a partnership model. And so that's been a really neat thing. So we've done that since day one. We have found clients that say, no, I just want this fixed number every month. And so we've actually developed 3 different models to let every client choose. Hey, this is what I'd like to go with. It fits me. It fits my communication style, my risk tolerance, those kind of things. So, but yeah, definitely that shared model has been a lot of fun.
I love that because it's one of the things that I think is so valuable because it gets more into that value pricing that so many of us hear about. It's clearly delivering a value and getting paid accordingly. So I am curious just to get a little bit more clarity. So you've got a retainer fee, a monthly fee, and for that you're getting a percent of revenue, but it's not the percentage of revenue exactly. It's the increases that are going on. So I'm assuming that when you establish your client relationship, you're kind of determining what the standard or bench line mark is as to, well, in the last month, quarter, year, this has been our average revenue. You get that baseline, and from there, you're seeing what the increase is. Is that what I'm understanding?
So what we did is we lowered that monthly nut so that that way we just start from $1 in the revenue. So it's not we went up this. You have to keep it simple, and so don't get overly creative. It just causes too many questions. So we just actually do it on $1, Roger, even not necessarily increase, but $1. And so again, they're going to have, if you think about it, you're going to have a percentage for accounting CFO type fees in your budget anyway. And so we just, would do a percentage, something like that to be a starting point. But again, that's been a good model. Keep it simple. So don't get crazy creative on your billing that you're going to cause issues with the client. So
yeah, very interesting. So obviously you've got clients that are paying for this service. How long is the engagement itself? How long are you finding that you're able to work with them in this capacity?
Yeah. So we started out doing a year engagements. And now we have some clients that have been, my goodness, 25 years now with us on those type of engagements. So again, if you can really become a partner with them and with that model I just described, well, you get seasons that are down too. So it's not all uphill. So sometimes, you may have a COVID, you may have tariffs, you may have all kinds of things that throw some variances there. So again, if we're a partner, we're going to ride with you through that, through those seasons, and let's figure out together how we grow this together.
I love that your lifetime value is showing as many as 25 years working with these clients, because that's phenomenal. And the other engagements beginning at the 1 year mark is very similar to ours. When we do our engagements, they are a 1 year commitment. We tell them that that's what we're expecting to do. We generally say that the relationship extends generally from 12 to 18 months, but the average for me is 24 to 36 months. I typically have them for 2-3 years as a client in that capacity. And it's been phenomenal for us as a business. As for the average, we're seeing that in the space that I work in, as I work with firms offering CFO and advisory services, the average is around $2,500 a month. We've seen the range be from $1,500 to $3,000 a month. I know of some firms that are actually specializing with their niching as high as $5,000 to $10,000 a month with their clients. I'm kind of curious, do you have an average that you're actually seeing right now within your firm as it relates to the CFO services you're providing?
Yeah, and again, this is one of those hopefully inspiration and not imitation kind of things. Because some people are like, oh, well, mine needs to be there. We'll have some clients, Roger, that are in the 20,000 range, down to about 2,500. So that's kind of it's a pretty big range. Most of those are going to be honestly in that 25 to maybe 8,000 range. So it really depends on the market. If you're serving the really, really small business market, please don't go in at a $20,000 bid. But if you're serving a mid, maybe a little bit larger, again, kind of small business, and depending on what you're doing, like if we're doing full service accounting, bookkeeping, CFO, all that together, that's where some of those bigger numbers might come in.
Exactly. Yeah. It's actually a bundling of various services. You're getting a fee for your bookkeeping, a fee for the accounting, a fee for the CFO, and it does compound. And that's one of the things that you can really consider as a firm is what are the services you're offering and how do you want to package those? So I'm really loving this. So going back to the actual experience when you're working with your clients, I'm wondering, is there a sense of they have arrived? Because I was mentioning that generally there's this 24, 36 month engagement average that I experience with my clients. When is it where they actually arrive and feel as if they have really benefited from the services, come to you and say, I've got my relationship with my wife and kids because of you? What's that moment?
Yeah. And are you talking about arriving meaning I can sleep at night, or arriving meaning, hey, I'm gonna bring all this in-house?
Well, I'm going to say sleep at night, because obviously what we're looking for is perhaps that continued relationship. I don't know that we're looking for a closure, but it is that moment where the client actually experiences that epiphany of, you know what, this is actually paying off. This is actually working. I see value in what you're doing and what I'm paying for.
So about 4 or 5 years ago, Roger, we started measuring what we call raving fan remarks, raving fan comments. And so each time a client gives us a raving fan review, or I'll get a note from a client saying, oh, so-and-so did this amazing job. I just want to let you know. In fact, I had one client 2 times this week already. He's going, I just want to let you know. And in fact, he even sent me a video of an example. And so it was just amazing. But those are some of those arrival times when maybe you help somebody out of a crisis and you're doing your month to month and year to year work, but when they just feel like, oh my goodness, when somebody from your team calls, I stop what I'm doing and I make sure I'm picking up that call. That relationship is developed. They're feeling that peace of mind. When we talk about get clarity, grow profits, gain peace of mind, that's for us. That is that check mark there. So.
Yeah, I have experienced that with my clients. We're typically about 3 to 6 months in when they experience that moment of peace where they're able to say they sleep at nights, then they have arrived, if you will, as it relates to the coaching that we're providing. Yeah. But nonetheless, it is still a continual journey that they're going to go on. It's not that they've arrived and they're done. They've arrived in the sense that they see value and they appreciate it. So I'm curious, I would imagine that you're a lifelong learner, somebody that really appreciates learning things. What are some of the things that you've learned in this process as you've worked with your clients?
Yeah, definitely. We've talked about a few of those, like the be patient, the be intentional, be a difference maker. Keep in mind, some of the best I'd say all the best leaders, it's not about you. And so make sure, how do you serve others? And sometimes we'll do serve events in the communities and different things like that. But anyway, be a difference maker. And then, you'd mentioned being a lifelong learner. I love what you guys are doing at Universal Accounting. Just the I think he had, what is it, GrowCon just recently, I think.
Yes,
And
yes.
man, attend those kind of things. It's if you're a Lone Ranger, even Lone Ranger had what, Tonto, and so make sure you're continuing to learn podcasts, books. That has been so helpful. And last thing I'll mention, Roger, is be still. We get so busy in just burning the midnight oil that we don't take time. We often call it sabbatical, or take time to dream. Just take time to recharge. And I know that can be hard when we're starting out. I'm just trying to get this thing off the ground. But there's times of just mental health at times that can be very, very valuable. So those would be a few lessons along the way.
I really appreciate that you brought up the fact that we have to take that moment and be still. There is so much that can come from that moment. There is a hustle and a bustle. I do thrive on the work in the sense that I love the hustle about it all, but there is something to be said about just sitting and pausing, reflecting, and at the same time recharging. And so as it relates to business, there is value in having a retreat. I do a retreat with my management. And one of those things that's very powerful there is you're able to step away from the business, work on the business, and really kind of get a bigger picture of what's going on rather than the day-to-day things that you're typically dealing with. So I'm curious, what do you do to recharge and be still?
Yeah, a couple of things that's been helpful for me are actually doing mission trips. So I've gone to Honduras a number of times, going to be going to Ethiopia. And it's funny, sometimes when you step out of your comfort zone, and again, serving others, that can be so helpful. Another more daily routine, not everybody's going to run off, some other country, but another routine is just getting out on the walking trail. I was with a friend this morning out on the walking trail, and it could be along with another business leader, or it could just be by yourself. And again, it could be listening to a podcast, or just taking some time to again, declutter a bit. So.
Yeah, I like how you brought up the mission, though. The ability to serve is very humbling. And at the same time, I think, and this is just my opinion, it's very rewarding in the sense that it's selfless. And one of the things that I think that comes from that is you gain a bigger perspective of the scheme of things and how you are part of this world experience, if you will, this humanity experience. And you said you've done things in Honduras and in Ethiopia, correct?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the work that you've been doing.
Yeah. So one of the I'll just share one Honduras story. Years ago, my daughter was 16 at the time, and we were going to do a father-daughter trip. I'm thinking Disney, and she picked Honduras. I don't know how that worked out, but we went down there, and she taught 7 women how to sew, create their own micro businesses. And man, Roger, so neat to just see the impact that just teaching somebody a skill that then they can take on, and so. We've done some different things like that, some more faith-based things as well. But again, if you can find some ways to equip others during some of those seasons and those opportunities, there's just something powerful about that. We talk about mentorship being such a neat opportunity, and sometimes that can be a great way to begin practicing some of that.
I've got a number of experiences similar to what you're sharing. And just to share one of them, we as a company were supporting a Haitian relief center, a community center in the DR. And it's been amazing to go there year after year after year and see the evolution of what's going on with the center. Yeah. And there was a moment where we were helping with the construction. And in facilitating that, it was wonderful because they were just literally working within a dirt floor, cement walls, no windows. And it was very, very simplistic. And, you come home and you have that to reflect on. But the point is they actually ended up having a roof put over it. Initially, when we first went there, it was merely tarps, just something to shade them. And at the end of the day, we were able to actually finish putting on a cement roof to that building and at least give it the structural soundness that you're looking for. Yeah. Well, that same year, a hurricane came through that area, and the Haitian community, the neighborhood, was able to go into this one structure and find relief, something that we didn't anticipate. We thought we were just providing it as a place for them to gather, and yet it became a definite place of refuge. So it's those simple things that become so momentous. And as you look at it from a business point of view, you think we're doing accounting, and yet look at the things that we get to be involved in. It's wonderful.
Get your copy of Red to Black. It is the book written for accounting professionals to help businesses turn around and go from being in the red to being in the black. This book is written for consultants, business owners, operators, and managers. No matter what your client's product or service, or irrespective of your talent, skill, or expertise, as an accounting professional, you'll be able to use the principles presented in this book to actually become, for your clients, the profit and growth expert. Every chapter is filled with principles and concepts that you can use immediately with your clients to lead them from being in the red to being more profitable in their business, and see you as, in fact, their guide, their coach, with the expertise and wisdom that you can bring from this book. In the book, you have how-to guide explanations. You have models that you can follow. You're shown how to actually calculate and determine the fees for your services, the actual model that you'll use during the implementation of all this, and most importantly, the end-all results with your clients. Get this book now and see what it is you can do to offer this new revenue-producing service as, in fact, the profit and growth expert. For more information on how you can take advantage of this offer, go to the episode description and there get the information you need to take advantage of this today.
With regards to now business, I am kind of curious. How do you get to the point where you actually feel like you're doing what you need to be doing? You're the leader, you're helping other leaders. How about you personally? We talked about being still, but I'm wanting to talk about how do you actually kind of keep grounded, if you will?
Great question. So, I'm going to tie it back to the mission, but I was coming back from a mission trip from Honduras, probably about year 10. And the experience you just talked about, like, we did this thing, and you just feel so good, and you come back and you're doing debits and credits. You're going, okay, this isn't near as much, fulfilling. And I remember talking to a friend of mine in a small group, Roger, and I said, I just feel like we're being called to missions and to maybe pick up and move. And my wife actually was all on board. I was surprised. I'm like, are you serious? So we're talking about this. So I'm telling this friend group, and this guy said, maybe the mission that God has for you is the business he's already given you.
Yes.
And it was just the clarity of a friend saying, hey, you're already in it. You need to start treating it like that. And so I think that was the spark, Roger, that it helped us develop our core values. It helped us really define where we're heading, who we're going to serve, identifying that ideal client, and so many things. And so I think leaning into things like, I don't know if you're familiar with Patrick Lencioni, Working Genius, and EOS, and the visionary integrator models and some of that. And so, but that was definitely one of those pivotal times that really helped clarify, my personal mission. And so that was really helpful.
I'm really grateful that you shared that, only because of the fact that I do feel that many of us are in our callings, and more importantly, are making a difference.
Yeah.
And we don't have to presume that there's something else we ought to be doing to make that difference.
Yes.
We're doing it now.
Yeah.
As accounting professionals, we can do exactly what we need to be doing as a calling right here and now with the talents that we've been given. So I liked how you provided that perspective. Now, regarding this work that you're doing, I do have one question regarding the interactions with your clients. Are all of these one-on-ones, or do you have any group mastery kind of things that you may be introducing all of your clients to one another and them collaborating together as well? Is there a group component to any of this?
Yeah, that's a great question. We did try a little bit of group coaching, just as a test market, and we found out that wasn't necessarily our skill set in a group setting. So ours are very one-on-one. We will collaborate or introduce those that it makes sense to introduce. We work in a lot of different industries, and so we're not industry specific. And so, but definitely there's some, collaboration opportunities that we will take advantage of.
Well, Rusty, one of the things that I think is so valuable about our conversation today is so many accounting professionals kind of dabble in and consider this idea of offering CFO advisory services. And I think just the conversation today has given a little bit more clarity. And if in fact, I can dare say permission to go into the space, because I think we've tapped onto a number of things that are very, very helpful in understanding how the business side of this works. And that's very important. I do want to ask, I know that you speak of 5 lessons to long-term success. Yeah. And as we get close to wrapping this up, I wanted to ask, what are those 5 lessons? I know you've tapped or touched on a few, but what are they?
Yeah. I'd say, and I think those are probably the B's: the be intentional, the be patient, the be a difference maker, be a lifelong learner, and be still. I think those would be the 5 things that we've kind of hit on earlier. Yeah. I was thinking of a couple other quick ones I might add to that, or these are lessons that I've learned from 5-year-olds. When my 5-year-old daughter at the time, she was sitting in the back seat of our vehicle, my truck at the time. We were driving down a country road, and we came up on a big fire, a field fire that was, and as we got closer, that fire consumed the road where we were on. And we were in this, literally driving through this horrible field fire. And I was trying to figure out whether to back up or go forward. And I just froze. And I heard a little voice from the back seat saying, "Daddy, just keep going. Just keep going." And I think about that in business. Sometimes we go through those really challenging times where that fire is consuming. We've got all these issues going. And sometimes, it's easy to just stop and freeze. But if you can just remember, just keep going. Just keep going.
I'm feeling like we're now with Dory. Just keep swimming.
Yeah, just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Yes, what a great visual. What a great visual.
But the fact that your daughter, in that hellish experience where she was able to actually be calm and just say, "Dad, just keep driving, just keep going," I think that's very, very helpful. And it's a great illustration of perhaps how sometimes we feel, and we just need that subtle voice to remind us, "No, just keep going. You'll be all right." Yeah, keep going. I love it. And that is very good.
It is interesting. Last story I'll tell you about around those 5-year-olds. Now I've got a 5-year-old granddaughter, and she was watching me iron a shirt. And she goes, "Papa, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm getting the wrinkles out." And okay. And she's watching. I put on the shirt, and she goes, "Oh, I still see wrinkles." And, it's easy sometimes for us to not do stuff because we still have wrinkles. We're not perfect. And I think it was Seth Godin said, just ship it. And sometimes we just need to start.
Yep.
And we'll get the wrinkles out along the way, and we'll probably get more wrinkles. But sometimes you just have to start. Don't wait for perfection.
So well said. I think there's something that's very debilitating when we think that perfection is the purpose of things. And it's amazing to me when you just start, you can get a lot farther just for the fact that you got that momentum of going. So very well said. I appreciate you bringing that point up as well. Well, Rusty, this has been a great conversation, and I'm very grateful for you being on the show, because I believe that we've not only gotten some wonderful insights, but really some good actionable things that we can be considering. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to summarize our conversation here in a moment, and at the same time, come back to you for a closing thought. But for my listeners, there is actually a giveaway here that Rusty's providing that I'd love for you to take advantage of. It is a 5-minute business health assessment. And I think it's something that we all should consider, to just really take a moment and in 5 minutes, get a checkup on our business. And so take a moment to check that out. You can go to the episode description and get the details for that today. The other that you can take advantage of is he's also offering a free cash flow tool that I'd like you to check out. Go to the episode description and you can get that now. The other thing that you'd want to actually participate in is the Accountrepreneurs Challenge. There in the episode description, you'll actually find the information related to what it is you can be doing to work on both yourself and your business, both personally and professionally, to in fact have the best year yet in your career. One of the things that we can do as accounting professionals is really see what it is that we can be doing in our business to offer quality accounting services, to be that great leader that we need to be, and find the balances that we're looking for to have a healthy life. And so I encourage you to check out the Accountrepreneurs Challenge. It comes with weekly activities, emails that just give you 5-minute, 1-hour exercises that you can be doing to apply to yourself personally and professionally. And I encourage you to sign up for that today. It is free. Go to the episode description and find out more about that. Now, as it relates to our summary, this has been a wonderful conversation, something I was looking forward to, and Rusty obviously delivered. As an accounting professional, he moved clearly into that CFO space and found that there were a lot of things that he could do with his clients to best serve them. We talked about the business model side of things as to what his client relationships look like, the structure of the meetings, the fact that he's meeting with many of them for a monthly meeting, some as regularly as weekly, if not daily, as necessary. But more importantly, what we talked about is the pricing, how that actually is structured, and some of the suggestions that he had there of more of a value-based model. And I liked how he was able to structure that. And I really appreciated the fact that he was able to give us some context as to what financially that might look like for our firms as we're offering these services for $2,500, $8,000, as much as $20,000 a month for those fees. And that's something very telling and I think very appreciated. So the other thing that I'd like to also point out is the tips that he gave. The one that really stood out to me was that be still. There's one thing to be intentful, to be purposeful, but to be still, to actually take a moment and really enjoy the moments that we have to reflect, to ponder, to consider the inspirations that we're receiving, because that's where I think those soft moments can come in and really guide us as to where we can be going next, helping us be the leader we need to be. The other thing that I thought was helpful is that relationship that we talked about with our clients. One of the things that they see us as is strategic, trusted advisors. And as we're that strategic, trusted advisor, there's going to be relationship conversations, things that we're going to dive into, obviously, as we're working with our clients that are essential for them to work on their business. But at the same time, I think we started the conversation very well by saying that these principles, these points apply to us in our own business. Are we the leaders that we need to be? Are we intentional? Are we deliberate? Are we actually doing the things that inspire our team members and build the premier accounting firms in our area? So wonderful insights, great takeaways. But at the end of all that, we talked about service, finding opportunities to get out there and actually serve, and recognizing that in many ways, the work that we're doing is in fact a service, and we are helping people at very, very deep levels, both spiritually and emotionally. So that was, I think, a very touching part of this conversation, to realize that the skills and talents that we have are in fact some of those things that we can give back with. So all those things being shared, Rusty, what would you like to end with?
Yeah, boy, there was a lot there. Hey, I'd say probably I'd end with everyone needs three people in their lives. They need a coach, somebody, a mentor type person, a cheerleader, somebody to cheer them on during the tough times and celebrate the wins, and then last, community. And again, that community, man, you guys are doing a great job at Universal Accounting. That could be a great community to get involved with. There's a lot of small groups, but the 3 C's, boy, if you can take those as a takeaway, that'd be great.
That is beautiful. Thank you for that. I appreciate it, Rusty. So with that, I'm going to now wrap things up. One, obviously, if you have not yet subscribed to the podcast, please do so. We'd love to have you as a listener each and every week, getting notifications as to when we release a new episode, those expert discussions that we're having that you can actually take, listen, and apply in your company. So more importantly, subscribe, set the notifications, and let's get you as a listener for this show. The next thing I'd like to point out is, as it relates to community, GrowCon. It is an annual conference for owners of bookkeeping, accounting, and tax businesses. It's here that you can actually hear from the experts, meet your peers, build that community that he spoke of, get the collaborations that you're looking for so you can offer quality accounting services and take care of your clients, but also meet with my staff and see those individuals here at Universal Accounting who are committed to helping you be in business for yourself, but not by yourself with Universal. Definitely register now and join us for GrowCon. The next thing I'd like to point out is that Accountrepreneurs Challenge that I mentioned earlier. You can find that at universalaccounting.com. There we have a number of free resources that you can take advantage of, as well as podcast episodes that have been basically compiled as highlights or playlists that you can binge listen. Go there in the podcast section, find those highlights, and binge listen those things that are specifically applicable to your current situation today. There you'll find topics with experts related to marketing, selling, pricing, mental health, tech stacks, working with your staff, just so many things that you can actually use today to build the premier accounting firm in your area. And then lastly, as it relates to these principles and other things that we've discussed, if you'd like to discuss them further, feel free to reach out to us at Universal by giving us a phone call at 801-265-3777 or visiting us at universalaccountingschool.com. And there you can find the programs, the courses, the curriculums that we provide to help you actually be the premier accounting firm in your area. All of that being said, be safe out there, take care, have a great day, and always remember this: accounting success is universal. Be safe.